Prana is something, or in China they call it chi, is something which we can all feel. It is the dynamic force or the vital force which is running everything. So if you take hard matter, it doesn't move. Only when it is energized or there is a dynamic energy which enters it, does it get into the motion. So it is the dynamic energy or the vital force which moves the blood, which gets everything going in the body. And it is a very integral part and has a very significant impact on the Annamaya Kosha or the physical body and the Manomaya Kosha or the mental body. A simple example is, let's say we are feeling hungry and we need food, and we see how our stomach starts gurgling at that moment. And immediately, there is, we at the physical level start looking for food. But it doesn't just have an impact on the physical body. The prana or the search for food also has an impact on the mind. And many a times we become irritable. And some people even get angry when they don't get food. So it is the pranamaya kusha or the pranic energy which impacts us at a physical level and both at a mental level. And it is this pranic energy which was seeded within matter to create an urge to live. So, two signs of pranic energy are, one is seeking after food, and second is seeking after protection, and third is procreation. So, through pranic energy or the pranamaya kosha seeded within every animal is an urge to live through food, a fear, and a desire for procreation. So these are some of the aspects of pranamaya kosha. And then there is manomaya kosha or the mental body within us, which again is relatively easy for us to understand, which is made of thoughts, emotions, and belief systems, and also our intellect, which represents the discriminative capacity. Beyond these three bodies, there is something called Vijnanamaya Kosha or the supramental body. At the level of mental body, everything that we are knowing is coming from through our senses, what we are perceiving outside in the world, and from the intellect by experimentation, by discrimination, whatever we understand. But at the level of Vijnanamaya Kosha, there is a sense of oneness. There is a sense of all knowing. There is a sense of a deep understanding of whatever is happening within and outside. The simplest evidence of Vijnanamaya Kosha or supramental consciousness is intuition. We all have some intuitions at every level. We have all experienced intuition in various things in our life. And intuitions don't seem like something we have thought of. We all have a gut feeling or a feeling that, oh, this might happen. And this intuition is something which drops from the supramental consciousness or Vijnanamaya Kosha into the Manomaya Kosha. So most of the times this dropping happens to us in very peaceful states or while we are sleeping or dreaming for people. But we all also have the capacity to access it consciously, the supramental consciousness. The fifth and the body, which is the Anandamaya Kosha or the bliss body, is even deeper within us, and it is a delight which is way beyond pleasure and pain of our regular life. And this bliss has that inherent capacity to heal all disorders. The moment we touch this blissful space within us, it has the capacity, that infinite capacity to heal all disorders. We may call it the deepest essence of our soul. So, where do the answers come from? That is the question. When I talked about the story, how somebody just held my hand and started telling me about myself, where does a body talk practitioner seek the answers from? And for that, in body talk, we use a term called innate wisdom, that there is a inner space, or there is an inner intelligence which has all the knowing and all the wisdom to self-regulate and self-heal our system. For example, if I get a cut on my skin, there is an inner knowing of how that cut will heal itself. If you look at being a medical doctor, if I look at the complexity of the process just to heal a cut, there are lots of processes which are happening at the same time, although it seems very simple to us. But if somebody has to make a program or a software to heal the skin, it will be way too intricate and complex. So there has to be an intelligence which knows how to heal or self-regulate and balance not just the physical body, but also the emotional wounds and many things beyond. So that we call as the innate wisdom. And to access this innate wisdom and to access this supramental consciousness, being able to connect with this innate wisdom is what is essential for a body talk practitioner. And what happens when we connect, and how do we receive answers from the supramental consciousness, which we just talked about is a space of all knowing, is something we call as structured intuition. Structured intuition is something which requires a beautiful orchestration of both the left brain and the right brain. Our left brain is more about structure, organizing things, and logic. And our right brain is more about emotions, intuition, visual spatial work, a lot of such things. Art is about right brain. And when both of them come together in complete synchrony at the same time, is structured intuition possible? A simple example of how the two can come together is, let's say, driving. While driving, we have learned a certain program. We have learned how to drive. We have understood a program which is now fit into our subconscious in the left brain structure. And then after that, we all have those intuitions on, I need to take a left, I need to take a right, and just adjust in the situation. And with a perfect right and left brain synchrony, we are able to move forward. This is an example of right and left brain synchrony in our common life. But in higher states, for example, many sportsmen and many other people have talked about being in the zone. When they are in the zone, at that time, they are able to perform tasks which they could normally not do. And they experienced abilities. They could sense in the sports that in tennis, the ball is going to land at this spot, and they intuitively arrived at that space. So the zone is something which science has been studying a lot. And that also involves this perfect synchrony of the left and right brain. And the same thing is being used in body talk, and we call it structured intuition. So from the left brain perspective, what we do is we learn this chart, this although a very complicated looking chart, where there are a whole lot of different things. But it's amazing how quickly the system absorbs this whole chart. So we learn all these things, and these are some of the it's nice to just read through this chart of the number of things which we have to play around with in body talk, from five elements to five senses to consciousness to all the organs in the body, all the endocrines or hormonal organs in the body, all the body parts and systems, chakras, energetic meridians, all the environmental factors, microbes, toxins, allergens, active memories, things which are still vibrating in our subconscious, which have happened in the past, genes, lymphatics, our nerve supply, circulation, various bony and muscular points in the body, and many other things. So these are some things which we just mug up, and through the process of doing sessions, we put it as a structure in our left brain, and then connected to the innate wisdom with trust and getting into a zone, we seek answers from the supramental consciousness in form of yes or no. For example, we start by seeking permissions of the client, and then we move forward asking, is a particular organ a priority? And if the answer is yes, then we go into that specific organ, whether it's lung or liver or gallbladder. And once we get an answer to that, we ask, is there further more specific on that organ? And we ask for, is particular environmental factor affecting it? What is the emotion? Is an emotion a priority? So by going through answers of yes and no through this chart and in the zone, we are able to come up with a story. And that story, even though it sounds very, at that moment, initially, it sounded very bizarre to me, but funnily, 9 out of the 10 times is so very accurate and precise and to the point, to that person's current life story and situation. And till date, it continues to surprise and amaze us how that happens, but it happens. And to share with you a few examples of the kind of stories that come up. And these are some of, I've been practicing body talk for 3 years, and these are some of the stories which I had noted down in the initial phase when I started practicing. For example, there was a person I was seeing for about an year for psoriasis, which is a skin condition. People get a lot of scaly patches all over their body. And I take pride in being a doctor who would spend a lot of time with my patients trying to understand them. But when I, for the first time after learning body talk, came back and did a body talk session for him, fear of punishment came up. He was a 42-year-old man. Fear of punishment came up as a priority. And 8 years of age, fear of punishment. And I asked him, did something happen at 8 years of age which would create a fear of punishment within you? And he said that that was the time when my father really badly beat me up for some mistake in the school. And it was so severe that, his whole back was wounded and he had to be taken away from the home to a relative's place for a few months. So it was a very significant event in that person's life. And that's still vibrating in his consciousness. And as a doctor, no matter how, or even as a psychologist, no matter how much we dig, we would not be able to go that deep. And it really helped him to release that wound out of his system. And one of the manifestations of that wound was that every time he would come to me, he would be like, Doc, can I eat this? I hope this doesn't create this problem in me. I hope I can eat this food. So he was always in this fear that this food will create this issue for me, or that will create that issue for me. So there was that fear of being punished in some way. And I observed in the initial phase, I was still skeptical about body talk, and I did 4 or 5 sessions for him. At that time, I used to do it for free. And at the end of those 5 sessions, I asked him, how much is all these things better for you? So he did mention that I feel 60 to 70% relieved of all these emotions which I have been carrying within me. So that really gave me as a doctor a lot of confidence that yes, what I'm doing not just is identifying something, it is also helping people address that issue within them. There are many similar stories, and I wish I could share them, but we had thought of 20 minutes for each one of us. So I'll just very quickly run over them. A psoriasis patient whose Muladhara chakra came up as a priority and first chakra, and I asking him that is there something which triggers your survival instinct? And he funnily told me that I live with a lot of politicians where I feel very insecure. I almost feel like I'm living with the lion in a den. I know that nobody else can touch me, but the lion can eat me anytime. So my survival instinct is always on. There was a girl who had been taking oral contraceptive pills for 7 years because she could not get periods without them. And when she came and what came up was the time when her periods were about to begin. At that time, she had a bad time with a teacher. Um, it's not just emotional stuff. A woman who had come with palpitations as an issue, coffee and worry came up as a priority for her, and so on and so forth. So a lot of different stories. And then the key point here is that when we identify these stories, we are not looking for trying to find out problems in people. We are trying to identify their priority. And that's another very important thing about body talk. When you start looking for problems in people, there are endless problems. As doctors, we can sit down and identify 1,000 different problems. But to be able to identify their priority is something which is beautiful. And then we are not trying to solve them. We are just observing them. We are just witnessing them. We are not getting actively involved. And everything is being done with an open mind because we are using intuition as a tool. And intuition is something which at best can have 80% accuracy. So everything in body talk starts with a maybe. So somebody has raised their hand. Please type all your questions in the chat box, and after 7:30, we'll be answering each of the questions. If you have the question to a specific speaker, you can also write the name of the speaker. Thank you. So, and eventually the intent is to restore communication, synchronization, and balance between those aspects of the being. We'll not go too much in detail of that. And then we implement whatever we have come up, whatever has come up as a story by tapping. Tapping is like a process of creating a wave at the level of head, heart, and navel, which represent our three brains. And therein, the next question that most people have is what will happen if you just tapped it out? You're tapping on my head, heart. What is going to happen by that? So from a perspective of body talk or quantum science, it sort of sends an energetic wave or introduces a new possibility into our system of these issues being balanced. But it is not just from somebody's philosophy. There has been a lot of study done on tapping. One of the studies I've mentioned here, and this is not in reference to body talk, but tapping is a science in itself, which is being used in various different tools. And one of them is emotional freedom technique. And this is one study I picked up on emotional freedom technique, where they demonstrated that by doing this tapping on various acupuncture points in emotional freedom technique, what emotion gets addressed in 6 months with cognitive behavioral therapy can happen much faster with emotional freedom technique by the tapping method. And it has been shown to induce certain brain waves on the EEG as well. So there is some scientific evidence as well. But more than that, for us, we see the patient shifting, and that is the evidence for us post experience of body talk. And what kind of results do we see when we do body talk for patients? So we see experience of shifts, people shifting in a certain way. There is a certain something has changed about them, and this word shift will remain just a word until one experiences what is a shift that happens in them. They feel lighter, they breathe better, they sleep better, their mind becomes more empty, and their awareness expands. They become more aware of their patterns, and that leads to behavioral changes, which is precious because we find ourselves in our lives being caught up in the same pattern over and over again, repeating the same mistake over and over again. Or I won't use the word mistake, but the same patterns over and over again. And if something can just expand our awareness, make us fully aware of it, it's more likely for us to change or modify those patterns or introduce newer possibilities. In India, there is a saying that एक संस्कार को बदलने में जन्म लग जाते हैं, or even one habit to transform takes lives for people. So it allows those certain patterns, or in Hindi we call it them sanskars, to transform at a much faster pace with much more strength, which is priceless for me. A person who is on a spiritual path or a spiritual journey, for them, they are constantly looking for ways to evolve, and that is precious. The pain, stiffness, range of motion, all these things can get better for people. One can introduce the seed of newer possibilities. Many people ask, oh, the shift that I experienced was subtle, but what next? What did I gain out of the body talk session? What happened to me? So for that, we need to understand the concept of probabilities and possibilities. So probabilities are caging. Probability is, let's say, I'm a doctor, a patient comes to me, I tell them that you are, based on the past history and whatever data we have, you have an 80% probability of resolving this issue. You have a 20% possibility of survival and all these things. This is based on past data and it is caging. But what is possibility? Possibility is infinite. Is it possible its purpose to heal himself completely? Absolutely, yes. So possibilities are freeing. They free us and allow us to do new things. So by doing this, a person who is caged in the same pattern and same probabilities, we are able to open up and put a seed of newer possibilities in their life, which at its own sweet will and time will grow into a plant. The person may credit body talk for that, not credit body talk for that, doesn't matter. But the seed has been sown, and there can be no plant without a seed. So that's the importance of body talk, and that's the beauty of body talk. Here are some feedbacks from patients, clients. I will just skip them. And this is a statement I had written 3 years back. At that time, I felt 40% of my patients were better. And in 90% cases, I felt that I picked something relevant to their health. Now I would say 80% tell me that I'm better after the body talk session, or close to 100% cases to pick up something which went to their health. So the strengths of body talk, it combines multiple systems, brings together mind, body. There are no machines involved. Anybody can do it. It increases our focus on the divine element within the divine within. You may call it by innate wisdom, oneness. There is an equality of practitioner, and there is no healer. There is no me healing the other person. There is a growth in connect with the supramental consciousness. Our intuition goes up. It allows There is a more and more, as one goes on the spiritual path, one realizes it is not just about living in the higher states of consciousness connected to the divine. If one has to work, one has to come back to the lower nature. And in the lower nature, we have all kinds of impurities. We have all kinds of softwares and programs which are still running, which may not be the best. So it allows those old softwares and programs to be programmed and new possibilities to be introduced. And hence, it's a very beautiful tool to expand awareness and in transformation of the ego. Um, and it is not just about the client. Now, most of my learning happens through my clients. Every body talk session I'm doing, I'm learning about myself more and more, and that is how every day it contributes to my spiritual growth. The challenges with BodyTalk, of course, are that there is a paucity of research data, but there are a few papers which have been written. The impact can be very subtle, so many people may not be able to appreciate the benefits. Patients don't come back. So, some of them get healed and they don't see reasons to back. So, I mean, it's a pleasant side effect, one may say. It requires a balanced, open, and peaceful state of being. So you cannot just, stand up and do a body talk session. You need to be balanced and in a positive state of mind. Spiritual pride and ego, whenever we get into any such practice, one has to be wary of these things. And client or practitioner getting too attached with what has come up in the session. If one gets too focused on the details of the session, sometimes patients go back with and keep ruminating on it. One needs to avoid that. And sometimes people come with more expectations than hope. I have a skin issue. I come with expectations. This is going to heal my disorder. Maybe it may or may not make that impact. But if one goes with the hope that I'm sure it will make some difference, that is something where the approach has to be. One has to go with hope. It may not make a huge difference in their medical condition. It may, or it absolutely may not. But one thing is certain: it will definitely contribute to the spiritual evolution of the person, uplifting of their consciousness, making them feel better in their life. So, avoiding promises about treating medical conditions is something very important. Yes, we can go with hope. Thank you so much. So, that is the presentation from my side. And I've taken up a lot more time than I should have, but I feel that's okay. So, I'll introduce our next speaker. And our next speaker is Sadhna Mehta. So she's a wonderful person in the sense that just like we as medical doctors are integrating multiple things, she has been able to integrate a lot of healing modalities. She is a past life regression expert. She is a backflower practitioner. She's a BodyTalk practitioner. She's a nutritionist practicing metabolic balance. She is a very intuitive person, and I can go on endlessly speaking about many other things she's done. But the whole idea of her speaking is that getting to know how does a healer, which already has a well-developed intuition, who already practices so many other systems, how does BodyTalk contribute to her practice? Over to you, Sadhna ji. Thank you.
Thank you, Mankul. Thank you so much. Namaskar, everyone. Such a joy to be here. Healing work for me, like Mankul said, and if you look at this, I have done for past couple of years, I've done some amount of work to add these tools to my toolbox. But healing for me has not been a eureka moment, but something that has evolved over a period of time. I spent a substantial part of my working life in the corporate world. But there was always a niggle in my mind making me wonder whether this is what I'm truly meant to be. And that feeling kept growing stronger. Some of you may have heard of the concept, a Japanese concept called Ikigai, which means a reason for being, referring to something that gives a sense of purpose, reason for living. I realized I was missing my reason for being or my purpose in life. So I started seeking my Ikigai. And the whole concept resonated with me because I was also looking for something that I love, I'm good at, the world needs, and that can also be paid for. कहते हैं ना, जब आप किसी चीज को बहुत शिद्दत से चाहते हैं तो पूरी कायनात आपको उससे मिलाने में लग जाती है. The universe that manifested this very intention and a series of coincidences started guiding me towards this path. One of my mentors, Mr. Tony Anurup Singh, asked me to volunteer for a community called Ikigai. There I was introduced to some of the most evolved practitioners in integrative healing space. In fact, I met Dr. Mankul, Dr. Pankaj, Suresh Dagur, all these people there. And I started to realize that the body is self-generated and we are naturally programmed to heal ourselves. The more I conversed and spent time with these practitioners, the stronger my conviction grew. I also experimented with a few therapies for myself and was delighted that my health issues became better. And I felt I found my purpose in life, my Ikigai in healing and well-being. So this is how Inner Quest for Sadhna was born. I set up a small therapy practice. And my journey began with studying nutrition, which is core to our overall well-being. And as Mankul Mehta, I'm a bit of an empath and can sense the emotional disharmony. And begin to acknowledge that we are 99% energy and just 1% physical. But we remain so vested in our physicality that we ignore taking care of our life goals. Hence came the integration with emotional wellness and energy medicine. And I'm very fortunate to have been trained by some of the world's best teachers. Dr. Brian Weiss, Dr. Yogesh Chaudhary, Anodia Judith, Donna, and Patch Center UK, to become an integrative wellness practitioner and have spent a couple of past years learning various modalities. I must put a disclaimer here that all these modalities, nutrition, clinical hypnotherapy, Bach flower, energy work, they are all very powerful as solo therapies. And people do experience excellent outcomes. But in my experience, I realized every individual is unique. So is his or her healing journey. So it's no one size fits all. For example, hypnosis works well, wonders for 10% people who are suggestible, but may not work for 25% people who can't be hypnotized. So while I was adding more tools to my practice, I was looking for something which was more integrative, which could bind my work, And that's where I was introduced to BodyTalk by Dr. Mankul. And fortunately, our dear Humira was in India, and I attended and I got certified in BodyTalk a couple of years back. We have been talking about BodyTalk here. BodyTalk in itself is a complete consciousness-based system, which helps us identify broken links in various physical, mental, and environmental systems and help us let our consciousness flow. This is one system which helps us navigate through anatomy, physiology, as well as one feels so and as Mankul described, and you can see it on the left chart, that we can scan through so many, the protocol gives us access to so many areas in a person's life. It's actually soul, mind, body, everything comes here. But what is very interesting for me, and I feel empowered, that what is on the right, that it also gives you, while you're integrating all these modalities, practicing BodyTalk, it also gives you a choice to integrate other modalities which you are practicing. Once like I practice chakra balancing, hypnosis, batch flower remedies, and they come up very often for me. And I feel guided to what they may work best for them. And and this has actually made me use body talk a lot. Uh, Something very profound about body talk is that it's unlike some other energy healing practices where we feel we are the doer. Here is no doership. You become the seer, or just by being aware of the priorities of the mind, body, soul. As per the quantum mechanics, healing begins. Healing begins as we take our awareness to that priority, or we are reflecting on that priority. As during my work, integrating my work of body talk with other practices, there are some of the USPs that I would like to share, my learnings that I would like to share, which other people, my healer friends who are trying to explore this possibility. In today's world, our dependency to use technology, medicine for healthcare has increased extensively. We are trying to heal congested energies of matter with matter. But for thousands of years, we relied on our innate abilities to heal, grow, and find inner peace without any of this. Modern medicine is so correction-oriented that we forget about the connection. But body talk is a consciousness-based therapy, and the practitioner gets access to the innate wisdom of the client. So there is a consciousness connection before the correction. And once there is a connection, correction is very natural. So that journey to that equanimous Satchitanand state begins. Another thing is that it gives framework to intuition, as Mankul just described. As complementary healers, we rely a lot on our intuition or sixth sense. Intuition is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. Sometimes we do not listen to our intuition, to our inner consciousness, and negate it by thinking, what if it's not true? What if I'm thinking? But body talk gives you that framework to make your intuition more structured, your left brain learnings help you, right brain to explore deep. You start trusting your intuition more. To give you an example, one of my clients came for some emotional issues. While doing a body talk session, thyroid came up as a priority. And referring to other medical system also came in other systems. And once she was referred to a medical doctor and she underwent a test and was diagnosed with thyroid dysfunction. In fact, Mankul said we are not promising anything medical. For me, it has been working as a medical intuitive system also, because there is so much knowledge about the anatomy, there is so much knowledge about the physiology that while you're working with the clients, the energy people, workers who have only been working on emotions find it very enriching. As therapists and healers, we spend a couple of sessions going through the root cause of the issue. And I find body talk very effective in getting to the core. In fact, I use body talk as my first session in therapy work to get to the core. It gives me a path. It gives me the knowledge. How am I going to plan my sessions with the client? What is the priority of the client? So I work accordingly. When I was doing body talk course, we were asked to go back home and practice. And I asked my cook's son, who had a speech disorder. I did a session on him. And when I was doing the session, I was guided to go to SB Junction and found a link of a hitting episode at 2 years of age. And the mother confirmed that she had put a hot plate on his head as the child was a preterm baby and had a slightly odd-looking crown. And she was told to press it with a hot plate in her village. I was shocked by the incident. But pleasantly, post-body talk session, we continued with daily access practice. And now he talks non-stop. He's the chatterbox of the house. Another very beautiful contribution body talk has done to my therapy work is working around the belief systems. We are what we think. Belief systems are the operating softwares of those 95% programs stored in our subconscious mind. Some belief systems are essential for our survival, like fear. We have fear of heights, we have fear of fire. Otherwise, we'll put our hand in fire, we will stand on the side of the roof and start looking down without a railing. But those are the fears which are required for survival. But most of the fears come with a shelf life, and we forget that, and we keep living with those fears. Body Talk not only helps you bring those belief systems in your awareness, but also helps you to reprogram. It uses EMDR as one of the tapping mechanism. When we are doing tapping, we use EMDR, which helps you reprogram the belief systems beautifully. I was seeing a young corporate employee who came with instability issues. He would quit his jobs very frequently. And he kept blaming his parents for his behavior, for whatever his situation was. During the session, he came up that he was very short-sighted and felt that he wasn't good enough. And his friends and his schoolmates, they all bullied him. We tapped it out and there was a shift in his energies. But Bajfla remedies also came up as other system to address emotions. And I integrated both, and the results were, he has been happy about that. I can go on with my lovely stories, but we are constrained for time. So I'll take a pause here. By being a Vedantic student, seeking to move from duality to singularity within, would like to finish my talk with a thought. Thank you. Neha, can you put it? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sadhna ji, for the wonderful talk and for your perspective. Our next speaker, and please feel free to write down your questions in the chat box if you have any. Next is Dr. Pankaj Verma. So me and Dr. Pankaj, we are both from the same medical school from All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Delhi. And we have studied together. So I remember in 2018-19, I was going to Kenya to learn the system from Humera, who is our practitioner. In fact, Humera is here. She's also attending the session. Maybe we'll introduce her at the end of the talk. So Pankaj was really skeptical about the system, and he was not too sure. And he was a constant interruption during the 4-day course as well, because he found some of the things quite bizarre. So it's nice to have skeptic people who don't really initially believe in the thing, and they want to fully understand it. And that is how Dr. Pankaj is. But it would be nice to hear now from him, having gone through the journey, and now 3 years hence, how does he feel about Body Talk? So over to you, Dr. Pankaj. He heads the integrative medicine department in Jaipur in Rajasthan Hospital, and he has his own clinic. I would let Dr. Pankaj introduce himself in more detail. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for joining this wonderful session. Thank you, Mankul, for introducing me. And my Body Talk journey is actually wonderful. Once I was here, and once I started doing the sessions, I was actually surprised to see the responses and surprised to see how can just simple quantum science based one single protocol can lead to so many hidden things which can't be seen and which can't be detected by any means. I would like to please tell to Neha, please show the Body Talk protocol. I will go in detail with examples. Please show the Body Talk slide, protocol slide. So I've done many sessions in the meantime. Please zoom it. I'm not able to see it properly. I think people won't be. Is it possible to zoom it?
Yeah, I'm just doing it, Dr. Pankaj.
Yeah.
Just give me one second.
So there are many patients. The thing is, once we get to know about Body Talk, we think we listen so many theories. but we don't actually understand unless we do it by self, unless we experience it. So whatever the issue you are having, either physical, mental, spiritual, psychological, I'm working as a psychotherapist also. So many patients come to us for anxiety, pain, depression. As a counselor, as a psychotherapist, you believe what people say, and sometimes they don't say what actually the problem is. Similarly, can you zoom it more? Yeah, I think I can. Yeah, sure. So similarly, it's really difficult to actually find out what's that. I think it's hidden. Please don't zoom from your side. I will zoom it. Yeah. So as a counselor, it's difficult to identify what's the patient actual issue. So there's no mean by which you can actually find out, because what is the patient heart saying, what is the patient brain saying, what is the patient saying verbally. There's always some interconnection between them. So to know it deeply, I tried body talk in many sessions and find out so many interesting things. I tried body talk session in Parkinson patient. I done body talk session in depression patient, anxiety patient, many patients with physical issues like pain abdomen, joint pain, arthritis, frozen shoulder. There are n number of sessions I've done right now. So I would go protocol wise to show you how can things happen. Like let's say we start with permission. So we respect the body first of all. Sometimes we don't get the permission to do it because there are so many, I would say, hidden fear or the blockages which don't allow you to do the sessions. So sometimes when I ask the patient why your body is not giving permission to me, then I see maybe some ornament is there, some jewelry is there. Even sometimes my Bluetooth came as a blockage which is not allowing me to do the session. So all these interference can don't allow you to go in detail and get connect with the client body. Similarly, sometimes I ask and counsel patient, let's relax. Don't think otherwise. Don't be in fear. Nothing that will be nothing wrong will happen to you. In that way, if I counsel them properly, they will get it ease, and then I can start getting the permission from the body. So this is the power of permissions. So in next session, if you see the protocol, you can see the section 1, section 2, section 3, section 4. So when we do the session, we ask from the body can take you anywhere. It's an endless journey. But with the help of protocol, you can start sequentially. For example, in section 1, let's say I'm doing some session in the EGBFC. EGB means essential general body. The Sadhna ji also said SB has come, sphenobasal junction, the junction where the pituitary lies. If it is coming as a priority, sometimes patient feels so many breathing issues. So because maybe some sudden shock or sudden change in your life can actually block it, maybe in open state or maybe in closed state. So I've seen the patient who I've done the SP technique, and immediately the breathing become much better, much deeper. Similarly, switching come in very common cases. Switching means like you are actually switched off by the current reality. So your mind gets shattered. Your mind don't think in clarity. You feel fogginess. So these are all once you do the session, once you do switching technique, the clarity become much better. They feel yes, there was a shift in the reality, what they see in internally and externally also. There was one patient, if you see interference, there was one patient of Parkinson, and the Parkinson, there's so many shivering and tremors happen in the body. And I was doing session for 6 months, and it was the 2 years back I am talking about. And suddenly his son called me and they say, okay, for last 10 days, the movement and it's worsened. The Parkinson symptom got worsened. So when I done the session, the interference, it came out to be Wi-Fi. So I asked them, okay, do you have Wi-Fi? So they said yes. So I asked them, is there any change in Wi-Fi setting or some connection? Then they thought, and then they just realized, oh, okay, they have taken the new connection of Wi-Fi, and there are two Wi-Fi which are actually working simultaneously. So even those high double Wi-Fi frequency was interfering with their body channels, with their body energy, which is causing the trouble. So once they switch off the Wi-Fi, the body immediately changed after the session. The calmness was much better in the Hello, I'm sorry, I got the call. Do you able to hear now?
Yes,
Yes.
we can hear you now.
Yeah, sorry. Uh, Similarly, if you go to organ part, in organ, most of the time we see lung and the heart and gallbladder, spleen. There are so many patients when we do like somebody is having. People have tendency to hide their emotion. They don't express it. Sometimes they express it, but they keep it in their body. What we say in the body talk, issues in your tissues. So you keep your issues in your tissues. So let's say large. So when once we do the session, even in two of my patient, they start having symptoms of diarrhea immediately during the session, and I have to stop the session so that they get release their emotions and then come back and start again. So this is the power of body talk. While doing the session, you can feel the release of your emotions. Um, Similarly, as the Mankul said, sometimes endocrine come as a very common priority, because most of the patients of psychotherapy are having issues with the pineal gland. They have sleep issues. Most common issues of having any anxiety patient, they feel difficulty in their sleep. So pineal gland come as a priority in many patients who are having decreased melatonin, who are having night shifts, having trouble in the sleeping. Uh, Sometimes pancreas come as a priority. Many of my diabetes patient, pancreas come as a priority. So your body is your guide, and this connection is your guideline. What is coming as a priority, and then you try to heal it, try to do some techniques of healing, and then you feel that shift in your body, in your mind, in your thoughts. If we go in the energy part, most very commonly chakras come as a priority. Root chakra, heart chakra, uh, Muladhara, sexual chakra. Like in many patient, in female patient, when I've seen, when I've done the session, they have the body shaming issue. They don't love their body. In that way, their sexual chakra get blocked, and then they don't feel like having intimacy with someone. Even some people hate males, some people hate females, because they are having issues in their chakras, which I find out, say, okay, yes. And these are the issues which people don't say from their mouth. They won't come up easily. So once I go to we start doing the session and we pick up this thing, and then ask them, okay, do you feel body shaming? Do you feel guilt with yourself? Do you hate another gender body? So even sometimes physical abuse or mental abuse come as a reason in the sexual chakra. Similarly, the environment play a major role in your body. External environment, birth environment. In many patients, the birth viva axis, the place where you born, the people around you having a infuse impact on your lifestyle, on your body. In my two of my sessions, there was a birth issue. Like somebody was very happy while having the birth of that child, and having a different issue, and somebody was very angry and nobody was there while the female was giving birth to the baby. So even that kind of problem you can access, you can find out in your body talk session. If you go to section 4, many times body chemistry allergies come as a priority. Even uh, one of my patient, I diagnosed 3 years back. Sadly, he is no more now. He's died because of lung cancer. When I did his session 3 years back, the even I found out toxins, airborne toxins I pick up, and ultimately I lead to cellular repair, and I find out a diagnosis of mesothelioma. if anybody is doctor, they can understand mesothelioma is very, very rare in a 35-year mean. But surprisingly, while doing the body talk, I find it, and they went to Mumbai and they lived there for 3 months just to be assured that yes, because there was so many confusion whether it was mesothelioma, squamous cell carcinoma, adenocarcinoma. There are so many categories of cancer that can happen in lungs. But that body talk exactly diagnosed that patient. This was actually before going to Mumbai. So this is the power of body talk. Similarly, as Mankul said, very commonly you have many active memories. Like you won't forget any mal behavior. You won't forget any fight with your spouse. You won't forget any separation with your loved one. And after that, the symptoms started. Many times people say कि मेरे mother का death हुआ था उसके बाद से मुझे ये symptoms हैं. Many times people said मेरा divorce हुआ था उसके बाद से I started having symptoms. So these are part of active memories. So there are endless example we can go. I told you cellular repair. We can see the cancer example. Lymphatic system example I've done in one of my patients. I think she is attending also. You can see the lymphatic blockages around the issues. She is having recurrent sinus issues. So when I done the session, it was found to have zygoma lymphatic lymphatic genesis was having some trouble, some blockages. So once I did it, she felt better. Similarly, musculoskeletal system, the body reciprocals, the part of body axis that you're gonna learn, having a huge impact in your body symmetry in your body axis. So these are the example how you go through the sessions, how you go through the protocol, which can help you seen the unseen. And I don't know the example names now because there are so many sessions I've done already. So it's difficult to categorize in that way. So I categorize in this sequence so that you can understand what the meaning of having physical symptoms, having mental symptoms, having psychological, having spiritual symptom, and so many deeply held beliefs and guilt which can come up in the body talk, and you can release them. Because once you go to doctor, you don't realize what's the actual issue. What you feel on physical level or mental level, you can only tell that, but you can only tell those things. But what happening in energy body, what happening in supramental body. So this tool that body talk we use can help to go into deeper issues. And best part is once you go deeper, once you target those energy levels, supramental level, then automatically those better corrective changes comes in your physical level and your mental level. So these are the example I would like to tell. And thank you for inviting me in this body talk. Please, I would like to tell you, please try to join body access course so that you can help yourself in self-healing. And once you are good in self-healing, you can those who are interested can learn body talk also. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pankaj, for sharing such beautiful examples. I can see one question, and I'll just jump in to answer that question. How do you heal by body talk? Is it only diagnostic? We actually use the term it's non-diagnostic. Something comes up as a priority. Tapping is the method we use. Again, it sounds like what will happen when you just tap a person, how will it resolve the issue? Again, we don't say it. We are resolving the issue, we are addressing the issue. So the seed for that issue to be addressed is put in place, and then it starts manifesting in some way or the other. I'll give you a very simple example. Somebody did a body talk session for me, and lumbar vertebrae compression came up as a priority. And I didn't even realize that I have some lumbar vertebrae compression. But I found 10 days after the session, a gym instructor working with me on, straightening the spine. There was some postural issue. In one of my body talk sessions, kidney meridian came up as a priority. And 1 or 2 months later, I was randomly with an acupuncturist who identified, oh, your kidney chi is low. Let me just put a few needles for your kidney chi to improve it. So it starts manifesting itself after BodyTalks. So again, BodyTalk may not get the credit for it, but that doesn't matter, right? And also, it just lays the seed. So we'll come to the questions a bit later. I just thought we have had 3 talks, so I'm just improvising a little bit. We have a few people who have done body talk sessions. I can see some of the people who have done body talk sessions with me, and one of them is Surabhi. Surabhi, are you there? Hi, Surabhi.
Yes, doctor. Hello.
Yeah, if you could just, because we have all been talking about what it is, if you could share from, your perspective, what does it mean to you? You've done, I think, good 4 or 5 sessions with me. So if you could just share briefly. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much, first of all, for inviting me to this talk, and also for introducing me to Body Talk as a method of healing. And like since the first Dr. Mankul has been saying, it's very intuition based. So, when I've been doing these sessions, it's, not like, when you go to a doctor, sometimes you feel anxious, and that even that anxiety itself can create some issues and hinder the healing process. But this is almost like, like sometimes you're feeling low and your mother will just come to you and tell me what is it and what is wrong with you, and that mother's intuition which kind of comes through. So it's almost like, and like doctor was mentioning that when he did his first session, he did it physically, so at least someone was like holding your hand. So like Dr. Mankul and me, we've been doing distance sessions. So he's not even present in the same room. So I don't know how it is that, he's able to connect and sometimes bring up like the most deep and, like innermost concerns which I may be feeling. And when he puts them into words, it's almost like, magic that, okay, even I was sometimes probably not aware of this. And it's almost like, like my subconscious speaking to myself. And then, when I slowly realize, and then when we do the whole tapping process, it immediately feels much, much lighter for me. And, like I've seen the difference. So in fact, there were some 2 months in between when I could not continue with the sessions. And I could immediately feel the difference in like my whole energy and, how I was doing, even with respect to some unexplained physical symptoms. So I had been feeling a lot of gas, bloating, and some things which no one could kind of understand, with a lot of even medical tests and all, why these issues are repeating and all. But probably with the whole sessions on body talk and how it was probably some kind of underlying emotional issues which were creating stress and hence manifesting as different physical symptoms. So once we started doing those sessions and those issues came up, and like I could like talk about it, and like it was like let go of it. So that's when even the physical symptoms started getting better for me. And over a period of time, I realized that this is something that's working for me. So I have also tried, like a lot of you mentioned, so I've also tried counseling with the psychologist. But then also there, it's only what can get addressed is what you're able to express from your own side, what you are able to recognize within. So sometimes, like me personally being very kind of an introvert person, so I'm not able to express that well, and I'm not very good at opening up to people about my emotions. So this was something that was not intrusive in that sense, and I didn't really need to do anything. And like someone could just by looking at or understanding the energies of my body could connect, and then understand those issues, and they could like come out and then probably just be addressed. So I'm not sure if I made a lot of sense. I just tried to share a bit of my experience, and it was a little bit of different things, but overall, I mean, I can definitely say that this is something that has helped me in the long run, and especially if you keep an open mind and if you keep going through this over a period of time, it is definitely going to show some results and effects.
Thank you, Surabhi. Thank you so much. I mean, your words were, I think they were as good as once, I mean, one of our speakers, because it's always good to hear from a neutral person. And I really love the analogy of a mother's hand, it's so beautiful, how it is that somebody just knows what is it, and so beautiful. Thank you so much. So we'll just move to our next speaker. She's Neha Khaneja. She's another person who comes from a corporate background, and it's nice to hear. We are all from medical community, and she comes from an absolutely non-medical background. So what does it mean for her to learn body talk and practice body talk, and how can it contribute to the corporate life in today's day and age? So over to you, Neha.
Thank you, Dr. Mankul, for the introduction, and thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. I'll just share my screen. So I'd like to actually begin with sharing how did I come across body talk, being a corporate professional. I was actually taking treatment from Dr. Mankul for a chronic illness, and that's when I started taking body talk sessions from him. And it was very intriguing to see, like, you've heard so much about body talk so far, and you would be able to relate to what I'm saying now. It was very intriguing to see how in each session, one or the other unique hidden aspect of my personality, my belief system, or any kind of incident that has happened in my life, any relationship stress, job stress, all such things were coming up one after another in each session. And that was very, very intriguing for me. And after each session, it was like bringing forth a more authentic Neha out of me. Like what a true Neha is, and sometimes our personality, our behavior, our reactions, everything gets overshadowed by our upbringing, our belief systems, and our experiences in life. So there's a very famous quote in Body Talk. It says, each choice and every experience in your life has contributed to your current state of health. Every scar, laugh line, and injury has a unique story and a history. So basically, our current state of health is nothing but a cumulative effect of all the emotional, mental, physical, environmental factors we have gone through. So it is all inside out, so we are responsible for our current state of health, and we can really change the trajectory of our health going forward. And that's what I was experiencing through Body Talk. And that's when I thought that, I have been gaining so much out of it, then why not learn it myself and also extend the same benefit to others? And I became a Body Talk practitioner, henceforth. Moving on to my topic of discussion, since I've been into the corporates, I'm a corporate professional. And with corporate, the most important aspect is the stress that a corporate job entails. While I'm referring to corporates in particular, but I believe that stress is a common phenomenon with each one of us, right? And the tricky part of stress is that none of us knows what is our stress threshold, how much can we take, or how much is it affecting us, at what level, to what extent. I think it's very difficult to figure all that out. And along with in a corporate job, of course, we've got deadlines, competition, performance pressures. I mean, the list is endless. And over and above work, we've got a lot of other stress pertaining to emotions, relationships, environmental influences, any kind of illness. All of it create stress in our body. So, you'll be amazed to know why we are specifically referring to corporates, because around 46% of workforce in India suffer from some or the other form of stress or mental health condition. Like that's how deep-rooted stress is in a corporate world. And no part of the body is immune to stress. In fact, what I just said, the sadder part is that it is very difficult to analyze its impact at the physiological and the psychological level. And I think you would agree when I say that anything and everything, big or small, whatever may happen to our health, it can be very conveniently attributed to stress. Because, stress can play in very many unknown ways on us. In fact, I was reading an article and it talks about the symptoms of stress. And it had, different categories. One of it spoke about the emotional symptoms of stress. And there was a whole list of emotions one may manifest when one is going through stress. One spoke, there was another category of physical symptoms of stress. Then it could lead, it could actually start from any kind of pain, digestive disorder, hormonal imbalance. Then there was this behavioral symptom of stress, how one's behavior changes when one is going through stress. And then there was this cognitive symptoms of stress, how we tend to become more anxious or things like that. So the whole idea of talking about stress so much is that it is very, very widespread and very difficult to really pinpoint how it affects us and to what extent it affects us. And the tricky part is most of us have got so used to being stressed until, and we don't even realize it until we reach the breaking point. And that's the time when most of the damage has already happened to us. So, this is why I wanted to give a background on stress was because this is where BodyTalk self-care tools can play a big role. They can play a very significant role in helping us follow a daily healthcare regime, which can help us reboot our system on daily basis, which can help us manage stress, which can help us manage our day-to-day health challenges like headaches, infections, or any kind of tiredness, lack of focus on day-to-day basis. So that is where BodyTalk Access comes into play. BodyTalk Access is like, these are self-empowering tools. So far what we have discussed in BodyTalk is advanced level of BodyTalk, which are all practitioner-led sessions. And, when we have to really address very deep-rooted issues in our health, that's when we go to a practitioner, and in every session, we reveal an important aspect of our story. But BodyTalk Access is, the basic. I think that's what we begin with. These are self-empowering tools. These are tools that we can apply on ourselves on daily basis, which can help us handle our day-to-day challenges and manage our stress. So what are these tools? If you just look at the slide, there are these 6 tools that we have. The first 2 techniques are to balance our brain. And I think, the importance of brain cannot be emphasized more, because the brain is like a superpower in the body, right? So when we balance our brain on day-to-day basis, we are able to have a sharper memory. We are able to think more clearly, and we are able to sleep better, because when our brain is relaxed and when our brain is communicating appropriately, like the left and the right hemisphere are able to communicate appropriately, that's when we are at our best. So the first 2 techniques are there to balance our brain and to stabilize our stress. The next 2 techniques are to balance the metabolic processes of the body. Now, the first one is hydration. And this hydration is not limited to drinking lots of water. We all know that, drinking water is very, very important. But even after drinking lots of water, we can be dehydrated. So this goes beyond just drinking water. It actually ensures that the water is getting absorbed by our cells, that biological activity is able to happen in the body because there is water absorption by the cells. And that's how deeply significant the hydration technique is. The fourth one is immune system optimization. Again, one can't emphasize more on it. We've been bombarded with COVID, Omicron, and so many infections. And amidst all of this, it is very, very important that we follow some kind of regime to continue to strengthen our immune system, to guard ourselves against these viruses, bacteria, allergies, and intolerances. The fifth one is to do with our structural integrity, our body posture, and it's like our flexibility, range of motion, the coordination, between the muscles. That's what the fifth one is about. Very, very important for people with sedentary sedentary jobs, and also for people who are not really moving about a lot and doing a lot of physical activity. The last one is very, very critical. It's fasted. As the name suggests, sometimes if we have accidentally burn ourselves or, cut ourselves, that's a minor injury I'm referring to, but this is equally relevant for any major kind of injury, like an accident. So what does this do is, the body is in a state of shock, when we've had a sudden blow or we've had a sudden fall or we've cut ourselves. So by this technique, which doesn't take more than 3 to 4 minutes, the body can immediately be taken from a state of shock to a state of healing. And that's the internal process I'm talking about. It is like really activating the self-healing capability in the body to be able to bring the entire resource to that wound, to be able to start the healing process immediately. And I've seen this happening many a times. Like my mom had burnt her hand, and it was a big mark. It was a big burn, and I did fasted technique twice. I could see how the redness had come down within a span of 5 minutes. The pain had reduced significantly. The recovery process had become much faster. So it is like a really very, very, very significant technique to stabilize a patient or to start the healing process. So in all, overall benefits, if I have to put for BodyTalk access, these 6 techniques, one, it really increases your resiliency in a way, because we are re-establishing, we are rebooting our system on daily basis. We are re-establishing those lines of communication, the energy circuits within our body on daily basis. So we tend to become more resilient towards combating any kind of stress or external factor that could be harmful to our health. Second, it promotes health and it prevents disease. And I think that goes without saying, because anything that we do, it's like being proactive about taking care of our health. It's a proactive daily healthcare regime. And if we do that, it is kind of preventing any kind of disease, because it's been taken care of on daily basis. It's like, it's right up there along with eating, healthily, along with getting enough sleep every day, or being physically active. So it is equivalent to that. The third one, easy stress management. I've spoken enough about it. Stress, as I shared, is all pervasive. It just kind of manifests anywhere. So when we do these 5 techniques on daily basis, we are again able to really manage our stress in a much faster way. We are able to reboot our nervous system and feel relaxed much more quickly than otherwise. And the last one, which I feel is very, very important, that this acts like a sustainable personal healthcare to each of us. Of course, it is personal healthcare. There are no medications, there are no prescriptions, and it is sustainable because we are activating our own body's self-healing capabilities. And I'm sure each one of us, with due respect to doctors here, but we would like to reduce our visits to doctors as much as possible, right? So, something like this can really help us feel more productive and, feel more healthy. And that's what, it's a call out to all corporates as well, because during these times, they are doing a lot for their employees to help them handle their health, their stress. And if something like this can be introduced to the employees, I'm sure it's going to lead to better productivity and better business performance, like undoubtedly. So very simple, very effective tools. And in a short while, Suresh ji will be, sharing when will we be doing the first course on Body Talk Access. So I would like to leave you with these. Thank you so much for your patient listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Neha, for giving such a clear and articulate expression of what Body Talk Access means, and how it is a beautiful self-help tool. And many of you, many of you who have joined in here, either are Body Talk practitioners or have experienced Body Talk sessions, or are people who are interested in knowing more about such things. So to actually dig deeper into it and know more about it, one of the ways is to do a Body Talk Access course, or the other way is to experience a Body Talk session. And our next Body Talk Access course is happening in Delhi on 27th of March. And our dear beloved Body Talk instructor for the course would be Dr. Suresh Dagur, who is the oldest and was the only Body Talk practitioner in India for the longest period, 20 years. And he was the only one holding the flag up for Body Talk in India until me and Pankaj came along. And then after that, there have been, we organized a course, and there are another 15 people who did the course. Out of them, there are 7. Now we have around 10 certified Body Talk practitioners in India practicing. And this year we hope for many more. So over to Suresh ji, who is a man with so many different facets in his personality. Apart from being a Body Talk practitioner, he's an engineer, he is a movie director, he's a musician, he is a farmer, and there are endless number of traits to him. And his vitality at the age of 75 continues to amaze me, and I'm sure you will all see that in him. And you will also observe that we are little babies in Body Talk, the 3 of us or 4 of us who have talked till now, and we've just done basic courses, and we are harping on what it is like to do that. And here is a man who has explored Body Talk at its width and its breadths and depths. And so how is his experience over 20 years? You will see in him all that. So over to you, Sureshji. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mankul. You guys have been so brilliant, I can't tell you. And today I'm the happiest person, because what I couldn't do in 20 years, I mean, you guys in 2 or 3 years, you are doing such a wonderful job. So we 6 here is like 60 persons to me. Yeah. So, when I really got into Body Talk, we were at the infancy stage. And trust me, in 2 or 3 years, I couldn't understand as much as you people have picked up. It's really brilliant. So congratulations to all of you. And I'm not going to touch on the techniques or the technicals which Dr. Mankul, Dr. Pankaj, Sadhna ji and Neha ji have already explained. So I'll just share a little bit which may not have been covered. So the objective of having this presentation is to have the awareness of what is Body Talk. You see, Body Talk is a cutting-edge energy medicine therapy. It's accepted by most quantum scientists that this will be the base of all future healthcare modalities. And most people misunderstand because there are dozens of therapies there. So people ask me, is it like this? Is it like that? No, it's not. Body Talk is not like anything else. It's totally different. And we don't make any claims. As they explained to you, we are not diagnostic. We don't treat diseases. So we can give you a disclaimer in case of a serious medical issue, kindly see your medical doctor, okay? We are into health. We are into self-healing. We teach the body how it can heal itself. And the side effect is, along with your client feeling better, as Dr. Mankul explained, we evolve. The amount of evolvement, like Dr. Mankul experienced, he has himself benefited in a few years, how much he has changed in his spiritual evolvement. And I have, over so many years, I am a changed person totally. Absolutely calm and focused. And whenever a client comes, we have no preconditioned ideas, right, on what we're going to find. We just discover it and we do what we are taught to do as a non-doer. So this is the great thing. So this subject is so vast that we can't cover it in a few hours. I'll explain to you how deep body talk can do. It's not just a therapy of a few techniques. It's an institution. You can keep studying and evolving for your rest of your life. There are so many modules and courses. And the beauty of body talk is that anybody can learn body talk. Now this access course we are doing, Neha ji explained, anybody can learn the access techniques. And then those who are more interested, once they get a glimpse of what body talk is, you take sessions from any of our practitioners, and then you do the fundamentals and you on and on and on. There is so much to do. So anybody can do body talk. And we are fortunate that eventually we have found a home in India. I really couldn't make a breakthrough, and I said alone, I was about to give up. Okay, nobody in India is going to understand it, because people are so left brain conditioned here. They want a pill for everything. But trust me, one of the side effects when you start doing body talk is your medical family doctors will be very upset. Because when I went for my medical insurance, the first question he asked me is, how many years since, when did you last see a doctor? I said, maybe 15 years ago or something. And he was very upset. And he opened his own drawer and he told me, look, these are the medicines I have to take. If we have more people like you, we'll have nothing to do. So anyway, hats off to medical doctors as well, because in case of emergencies, acute conditions, please go to the hospital. Don't try. If you get a heart attack, don't come to a body doctor. Okay? Go to your hospital and medical doctor first. So we are more into healthcare of the new age. So the way your body will learn, your body has forgotten how to heal itself. It's all, for every cough and cold, we pop a pill, right? So what happens is the body loses its ability. It has forgotten how to heal itself. If you look at the wild animals, they don't need a vet. I mean, I've not seen a wild animal suffering going to a doctor. Yeah, your pet animals, yes, because the pet animals are also conditioned by the human owners of the pets, right? So it is very, very different. So it's not just a bunch of techniques. It's an institution with so much to do. And ironically, the journey has been most difficult in India. I had earlier thought that in India, people will pick up body talk very easily, because body talk is partly based on Vedic sciences, right? People, founders of body talk, have come to India. They have studied the Vedas. In fact, the knowledge of the brain is mostly from the Vedas. And Western anatomy has just changed the words and done it. So it is a combination of Vedic sciences and the ancient Chinese medicine, right? So these are the two philosophies that influence body talk. And it's dressed up with all Western anatomy and, you know, decorated with nice language as words. So in India, people should have been picking it up very easily. In fact, naturally, but it did not happen, because modern India and the modern culture and population are quite different. So this is a problem we were having. But now we are so fortunate that we have definitely found a home in India with such brilliant practitioners doing such a great job. I can just take a back seat. So thank you all so much. So a lot of people misunderstand what is health. So health, a lot of people think, okay, they go for an annual checkup, you know, all of you go blood test, this, and they find everything is okay and they're happy. Okay, no problem. They think they're healthy. But health has nothing to do with the absence of disease. So if you don't have a disease, doesn't mean you're healthy. In fact, a healthy person could be getting ill, getting minor disorders, but a healthy person's body has the wisdom to heal itself, right? That is health. You bounce back into life. So that is what we are doing. We are teaching the body how to heal itself, what it has already forgotten. So at every time at every moment of time, there are billions of communications going on within the body, which we are not consciously aware of. And when these communications break down due to stress mainly, or maybe some other environmental factors, that is when we start getting unwell, right? So what BodyTalk is doing is we synchronize all these breakdowns in communications that are going on and these energy circuits when they are disturbed. So we are providing the body with a foundation so it can learn to heal itself again. So some people call health as the longest period you can extend death. So there is also not point living long. Nowadays, people can live to 100 years easily. They can be on ventilator. I know people on ventilators for years and years. So that is not health. So, and also there is so many fads and misunderstandings of buzzwords. If you think of the word, anybody uses the word quantum science, they become words which people don't understand really, and they're misused. Meditation is another misused word. People don't understand. Holistic is another misused word. Everybody says this holistic, when there is nothing whole about it. Holistic is W-H-O-L-E, okay? That is holistic. That means you are looking at all aspects of the mind, body, spirit. That's what BodyTalk is doing, right? And then even yoga, of course, is very fashionable, but there are so many kinds of yoga, and so these misunderstood things, you will get a lot of clarity when you start with BodyTalk. So simply speaking, in BodyTalk, we are just teaching the body how to heal itself. We have several techniques we learn, and that is how we balance everything. It's very difficult to explain, but my colleagues have explained it so well to you guys. So very nice, and thank you all for attending. So now, we are doing a lot of tapping, as Dr. Mankul explained, like in EFT, you tap in different places. But here the tapping is different. The objective of the tapping is different because this is a consciousness-based therapy. And we consider to have 3 brains, okay? Normally in your old days, you think the brain is in the head, okay? Actually, your head is a processor. That brain is electrical energies. They are doing a lot of work in processing, right? And then we have the heart brain, because the heart brain is actually also, when you see the chakras, it is the center point, right? So the heart brain has its energy expanding all over the body due to the blood circulation and all the communications going on. In fact, the jiva or the soul is said to reside in the right atrium of the heart. So if you look at the 3D image of the heart from a certain angle, you will see a Om made out there. So that's another interesting point, of course, nothing to do with BodyTalk. So I'm going to talk about these 3 brains. And the third one is your gut brain. Gut brain is your enteric brain, right? So your enteric brain has the intelligence. Actually, your intelligence resides in the gut. You must have often heard the common saying, my head says one thing, but my heart says another thing. My head says, this is a good partner for me, but my heart doesn't. But I have a gut feeling, right? So that's it. You have been commonly using these words, but they're actually 3 brains, okay? So we're going to do a little exercise. And these are all in the vertical axis, right? The head brain, the heart brain, and the gut brain. So when all these 3 brains have different functions, so your gut has the 90% of your body, living cells are microbiome. We are only 10%, yet we have so much ego, right? And then we go for so many diets and things like that. Actually, our diet, what we consume, should be the food for the microbiome. If your bugs in the gut are healthy, you will be healthy, right? And also, your gut brain, your intestines discriminate. They have the discrimination power. Whatever you eat or drink, what is to be absorbed into your body, what is to be passed on. That is intellect, right? So we need to have these 3 brains working in sync. So everybody doing their job. That is bottom line. So that's why we tap on the head, we tap on the heart, and we tap on the gut. And we are sending, we have whatever formula we have revealed. We don't, your body tells us what needs to be addressed. And we just are sending a message to your head, heart, and gut to take care of it. It's so simple. So body talk is simply complex, very complex, yet very simple. And the simpler mind you have, the better you will be in body talk. No preconditioned ideas, absolute simplicity. So we'll do a little exercise of the 3 brain tapping and see how you feel. Now, when we tap on the head, you have 2 hemispheres. So you tap with your open fingers. Our body talkers all know that we tap all the time to our cortices. So you tap gently across the 2 hemispheres, right? And when we are tapping here for this exercise, you can hum. You can hum at a higher frequency. That's a higher frequency. Let me explain it first. Then we tap at the sternum, which is your heart brain. Then you reduce the frequency. And when you tap on your gut, that's a lower frequency area. So let's just do this with the humming. Actually, I mean, I don't use the word om, but you can do oming, right? But anybody has religious conflicts, you don't have to om it. You can just hum it, whatever you like. So let's just tap our 3 brains with a calm mind and nice breathing, okay? Thank you. So this is just a wake-up call to your 3 brains. And when you get into body talk, this is what we are going to do, basically. But before that, you have to do a lot of things. You have to be trained on what you're going to address. So that is the beauty of body talk. So that was the 3 brains. And now we are open to questions. And, I don't know how much time we have. We love answering questions. So practicing body talk, of course, helps the client. And as I said, the practitioner itself, because it's all going through us, gradually you feel subtle changes within yourself. Actually, Dr. Mankul, thank you, Dr. Mankul, you reduced my age by a couple of years. We all like to call ourselves young. So I don't disclose my real age here. Thank you for that. Okay. So the most elementary course in body talk is a full 1-day body talk access. We call it body talk access. Access means these are 6 important techniques which have been extracted from that complex protocol you saw. But these are very relevant and important techniques which you can easily learn and practice on yourself, right? And you will feel the subtle changes and your body gets tuned to energy medicine. So we're going to do this body talk access course in Delhi on the 27th of March, right? As mentioned. We still have to fix the venue. And those who are in Delhi, and whether we do it on Zoom or not, I'm not yet sure. So this would be a good starter to get into body talk. And also, I like to mention to you that we do access outreach free of charge, like to students, schools, universities, in villages. In my village school, I teach it for free, okay? So because they can save on medical bills there. People from villages have to travel far, take a day off, go to a medical doctor, wait half a day to see the doctor, buy the medicine and whatever. So when underprivileged people should be helped. And we do this as a charity. And I'm sure all my colleagues will join me in teaching students, underprivileged, elderly, and nurses taking care of people in hospitals. Actually, they learn access, they help their elderly patients. So it is wonderful. So I would like you all, I mean, if any of you are connected with NGOs or any institutes, you're welcome. If you want us to do an access course for free, we can do it there. We have so many of us now, right? We can do wonderful work. So following access, the next most important course of Body Talk is the fundamentals. Body Talk fundamentals. It's a 4-day course, very, very intensive. And most of the techniques of Body Talk are covered in the fundamentals course. And this fundamentals course is going to be also taught in Delhi by Homera, our very dear Homera, who's very close to develop our India energy matrix. So she's also in the talk. I think Dr. Mankul will introduce her after I finish. So she's going to be teaching the fundamentals course, and she's a brilliant instructor. And thereafter, you see, normally just doing the 4-day course is not enough. You will be so confused. But we are there. We'll do the follow-up like we did with the other groups, right? We'll take follow-up practice sessions, removing your doubts, and we'll prepare you for the certification examination and whatever is required for your assignments. So you'll have full backup support, which did not exist in India earlier, right? So this is a wonderful thing that we have it all here with so many of us here. So this is on 27th of April, 1 month later. And Homera told me that she'll have an early bird discount for those who register by the 30th of March after the access course. She's going to give some early bird discount. So those, after doing the fundamentals, it's not the end, right? Now, there are so many advanced modules. There is Mindscape, there's epigenetics, there's body ecology, there's body dynamics, and there are so many courses. And beyond all that is Parama. Parama is the Indian word. Parama is beyond all. It's a Sanskrit word. And when you reach the Parama level, actually, we don't use any techniques. It's all consciousness. It works like magic. So it's a wonderful journey. And I am so glad that I am deep into it. And now in India also, it is coming back to its home, actually. It's originated from here, basically. So those inspired can continue with that. And we have this International BodyTalk Association is located in Florida, in USA. And they are the body which govern us. They certify us. They provide us with instruction manuals and all sorts of things. And we encourage everybody to become IBA members. Earlier, people were not becoming members because it's a very high fee. But for India, because of so many of us, they have drastically reduced the membership fee. So everybody should be a member because you'll be updated with newsletters. You'll be, you can join the discussion forums. While you're doing body talk, you don't understand something, you can share other 3,000 practitioners globally, right? You can share their experience just by going on the discussion forums. There are different forums for different levels. So it's brilliant. I use the forums a lot. So we have a lot of journey to begin with. And I think this is, I just wanted to give you an overview and thank all of you for coming. And we are always open to questions. Even after the talk, you have our contact. Feel free to ask any of us whatever you like, because unless you ask questions, we can't explain everything. So we can clarify whatever ideas you have. Okay, Dr. Mankul and everybody, you are all, Dr. Pankaj was brilliant. All of you, fantastic. I'm really happy, delighted, and thank you so much. Okay, so.
Thank you, Sureshji, for giving a broad overview on what body talk is and what journey of body talk is about. And thank you for all of you for joining in. I think we can take 2 questions or 3 questions quickly. I think either you can type or you can, just speak out, unmute yourself. So please feel free. We'll wait for a few minutes and let all of you answer. Neha, if you can put on the screen the contacts of all of us, please feel free to contact us for a body talk session. And also to know more about access, you can contact Neha or any of us. But Neha has taken up the lead to coordinate and hold all of us together, being the corporate girl. So thank you, Neha. And I would also like to, meanwhile, if anybody has a question, we can start. Or I'll just introduce everyone to Homera, who is our dear teacher from our guru, from whom we all of us have learned BodyTalk, except for Sureshji. So Homera, if you're there, just please wave, and we are hoping to see you on 27th of April in India for the fundamentals course. So
thank you. My heart is so full listening to this beautiful talk. I just want to thank you personally to all of you, and specifically to the lady client of yours for just saying so nicely that it is like being held by the mother, you know, just explaining the future medicine right today. That is Body Talk. If you're just holding the space for each and every one to just reveal their story. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so looking forward to be with you guys.
Thank you, Humaira. Any questions, please go ahead quickly. We would love to answer, or otherwise, maybe in 2 minutes, we'll just close the session. Okay, Dr. Sandeep Basin, I can see you writing your number. Sure, you can connect with me or with Neha. We have all your contacts, all of you. So we will definitely get in touch with you. Thank you, everyone. The training is on 27th of April and on 27th of March. So all right, so I think we don't have any questions. Let's end the session on a 15 to 30-second silence. I love to do that just to integrate our energies, all of us who have joined in today. And let's join ourselves at the level of heart. So a few moments of silence. We can start with 3 deep breaths. All right. So love to all of you and thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.